half Indian.
Yeah,
So
my dad is, yeah.
Do you ever go to India?
I haven't yet. My dad's been out there.
Has he? Yeah.
I'd love to, though. It's on the bucket list.
Me and my missus were contemplating going, and then we watched the Gordon Ramsay episode when he went there. Can't remember where he went, but it looks manic over there. It looks chaos.
Driving, road is road. There's no lanes.
So, Dom, appreciate you coming down. Only spoke to you a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
We've made it happen pretty quickly, mate. I was interested because obviously it said on your page that you studied psychology and stuff, and obviously what I do here, a lot of it is based around mental health, addiction, trauma. More importantly, and the most important part is the growth aspect.
Yeah.
So obviously when we talk of addiction, trauma, etc., I want to ensure that whoever's listening takes something positive away from the conversation.
Yeah.
Because otherwise then it just becomes rumination, doesn't it?
Of course.
And
without action.
Yeah. And that's something that I just don't want to do because what I find is if you're constantly talking about the problem, you become the problem.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the solution, you become the solution.
Solution focused.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can start wherever you feel comfortable, mate. I just, I want to get to know who you are, a bit more about yourself and what you're all about, really, mate.
Yeah. So if I were to do an introductory sort of sentence or two for myself, I would say I'm a recent psychology graduate who has a passion for mental health, health in general. Because
well-being.
Well-being, it all sort of links together, I believe that there's physical health and mental health are interlinked. They're not separate things. So, I'm very interested in that. And I've always been a very sporty person. Used to play footy, do jiu-jitsu now, running and gymming. And I just like helping people. And, that's one of my, the main reasons I started the TikTok to, help people to, one, get out and exercise, and two, just speak about mental health, really. So
where do you believe that value of helping people, that empath, where do you think that stems from it within you? Where's it come from?
I think it comes from family. I think it comes from values that have been passed down. So my dad was a educational psychologist.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Cool. And my mum was in the police, but she retired when she had a back injury and she retired. But, my mum was a very, kind person and always wants to help people. So I think it's sort of ingrained in who I am, part of my identity. So,
nice.
Yeah. And I think as well, I had a very good upbringing, and I think I've had a lot given to me, so I want to give a lot back.
Pass it forward, pay it forward type thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Nice, man. So obviously that we know whether the psychological aspect of what you want to do comes from.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my auntie's was a counsellor as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I ask what makes you want to help people is obviously everybody's answer is different, right?
Yeah.
Mine, I'm sure we spoke before this and on social media as well. I spent 20 years in a drug addiction due to childhood traumas,
of course,
teenage traumas, and then obviously addiction itself is a trauma. So there's a lot going on there, mate. And I'm not going to lie, I get a lot of people contacting me now asking for help, not just on social media. I get emails, text messages, and I had a really difficult conversation last night with a guy who I don't know, and he told me some really difficult things. Yeah, and I always thought, because I'm sort of 95% fixed, I'd say me. Yeah. I don't think we're ever truly 100%. There's always that emotional instability that'll pop its head up above the sand sometimes. Yeah. But
no one's ever, truly just perfect.
No. And then I woke up this morning, mate, and I was really, really struggling. And I'm not going to lie, I was on the verge of saying, like, I think I should cancel it today and this and. I thought, you know what? No, sit with the vulnerability, sit with the emotion, and allow yourself to feel whatever you've got to feel. So
brilliant.
I took the dog for a walk down by the castle.
Yes, and nice.
I just had half an hour down there, and I felt better. Went home, had a shower. Yeah, went a good 60-minute walk with the dogs. Yeah, it was good. Get the body moving. I think
it's one of the best things you can do. Get outside when you're not feeling good. Walking, running.
Yeah, and so running, I snapped my quad. I did playing football.
Flipping heck.
7-8 years ago, so I've got a scar from my knee to my hip, and I'm a big fucker as well. So running's no good, but I like walking. Walking's good.
Yeah, walking's one of the best things you can do for your health, mental health, I'd say.
But I mean, we can start on what you touched on there, and physical health, and mental health. Yeah. So Bessel van der Kolk, the guy who wrote the book, The Body Keeps the Score, that's all he talks about, how trauma is held in the body, not in here.
Yeah, of course.
And body and mind are connected. So when we talk body and brain, maybe they are, there's a connection through the nervous system, but the mind and brain are two different things, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think, the way your mind's working is how your body shows up on a daily basis. A friend of mine, Rich Smith, Rich, don't you, Cal, big power lifter. So he was a power lifter.
Oh, nice.
And he was actually beating Eddie Hall in Britain's Strongest Man when he was about 22.
Oh, wow.
He's a tank. He's tall. I'm 6'6", and I think he's taller than me.
Is he from around here?
He's from Flint originally, but he lives in Rill now.
Oh, nice.
And
Sunny Rill.
he was squatting about like 15 washing machines. And both his knees just exploded, like just shattered.
Yeah.
And I remember I trained with him because I've lifted a lot of weights over the time.
Yeah,
but,
can tell.
Yeah. And he always said to me, he said, just listen to your body on a daily basis. And it's the most important piece of advice I've ever been given for training. So I done me back in December. And for 3 months I could barely walk. Burst 3 discs in my bottom of my back, and I could barely walk. And so I just thought, just rest, start working on this.
Yeah.
That's when all these books started getting bought. And
You've got some nice ones.
Yeah, I've got some good ones.
I need to get that Chimp Paradox one.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good, mate. It's good, really good.
Yeah.
And so I've started really working on this, especially coming into recovery the back end of last year. But what I think it's done, it's allowed me to prepare to put my body into a better position.
Yeah, of course.
100%.
Of course. You prime your mind to allow your body to perform.
So, I mean, the first question that I'll ask you is, how do you believe the homeostasis, we'll call it, whatever, living that balanced lifestyle of mind and body?
Yeah.
What is it? What would you, if you were to give tips and tricks on that, how would you go about it? What would you say?
Give me a minute to think about that one.
Put that mic a bit closer to you, mate.
Yeah. There? That's good.
All right.
So sort of getting the balance between having good mental health and good physical health. Is that what you mean? Yeah. So I think at the basis of mental health and physical health, I think they are interlinked. There's things about, body, brain and mind, being separate entities, but it's a sort of push now towards everything is interconnected, and there's phrases like there's no health without mental health sort of thing. And I think one affects the other and the other affects one, basically. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
If you improve your mental health, you're going to feel better, you're going to want to get out and do exercise. And if you improve that exercise, you're going to feel better as well. It's a positive feedback loop. You know how depression's like a negative feedback loop. You feel rubbish, so you don't exercise. So you feel even worse, you don't exercise, and it keeps going. Whereas, working on either one, I was thinking about this for a video idea as well the other day. If you just get out and go for it, like you said, an hour walk, you're going to feel better. It's literally, proven that, walking releases chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, and all those sort of things that make your mind feel better, and just being in a natural environment. I'm such a big believer that being outside, being by the sea, being in green spaces is...
Nature is nurture, right?
Yeah, and it was... my girlfriend will like this because it's in her paper. Hippocrates said nature is the greatest physician because, we were designed to be outside.
Yeah.
We are, we're still an animal at the end of the day. We're just in a very, very social world. We don't see ourselves as animals, but the body has adapted to being
it depends who you're asking.
Yeah.
Because we definitely are animals, some of us.
Some of us, But the body and the brain has adapted to being, outdoors, solving problems in an outdoor, unstable environment. And so, I believe that one of the best things you can do for your mental health is literally just, take a walk, 30 minutes a day, 5-7 days a week. That is going to do so. That's probably one of the foundations of, mental health is literally just getting outside, getting sunlight in your eyes. Do you know Andrew Huberman?
Yeah.
It bangs on. Yeah. I love him too, But it just bangs on about wake up, within 15 minutes, get sunlight in your eyes. And I do it every morning, I normally leave for work at 7:30, so I'm up at 6. Literally, first thing I do, drink water with a bit of salt in for the electrolytes, creatine as well.
Pink salt or
Himalayan pink salt, yeah. Get out with the dog, take her for like a 10-minute walk, and then cold shower as well. That's another thing. Yeah, because there's a lot of research on cold shower, and you probably know yourself. But for anyone who doesn't know, it sort of releases so much, well, it's like a physical stressor, isn't it? Which, for me, how I sort of think about it, if you really stress your body out, real stress, not social stress that we, you forgot to pick up the washing, or, I don't know, you've missed a train. That's not real stress. No. That's social stress that because in modern day, we don't really, we don't get into real what fight or flight actually is used for, sort of, running away from bears and stuff. We don't actually get that. So I think, I'm pretty sure there's evidence that stressing yourself out in real physiological stress by getting in a cold shower, it can be horrible the first time because you feel all cold and your breathing increases, but it teaches you what real stress is. And I do that every single morning. I get a cold shower every single morning now. And you say about, lots of people are addicted to cocaine. Well, cold swimming in cold water increases your dopamine by the same as cocaine. Whereas cocaine, it drops off within half an hour. You know how people keep going and going because it doesn't last. Yeah. And it lowers your baseline of dopamine. That's the Huberman stuff. So it literally makes you less motivated, less happy, and more depressed basically over time. So you start there, do cocaine, you're thereafter. Whereas cold shower, it's literally the opposite. So you go up, you maintain those dopamine levels for like 3 hours, and it increases your baseline. So you start there, you do a cold shower, you're a bit more motivated the day after, and you literally just building yourself up and up. So yeah, I think sort of getting outside, exercising, like the physical stuff, like we said, exercise, it is the cornerstone of, mental and physical health. And then you've got sleep as well. Sleep, I think that's one that doesn't get talked about enough in the fitness world and the mental health world. You get a lot of runners that, I'm really fit, but then they'll sleep like 2-3 hours a day. It's Huberman put sleep as the top thing for mental health. And sleep is one of the things I've always been very dialed in on. I grew up in a house where, I wasn't allowed a phone in my bedroom at night. Didn't have TV, didn't have Xbox in my room. I hated it. As a kid, as you do, you want to be on your screen till 12. I had a set bedtimes, and I'm so glad I did, because those have just built me habits to, I go to bed at 10, 11 every night, unless I'm going out drinking or something. But 10, 11 o'clock, sleep till 6, 7 o'clock. 7 to 9 hours is good quality sleep. You wake up feeling, refreshed. Well, obviously the first half an hour feel groggy, but everyone does, You've been asleep, your body's been resting.
Don't just wake up.
No, yes, let's go. Yeah, and that's why I like to do a cold shower as well in the morning. But
I think when you talk sleep, so when we talk bodybuilding, weightlifting, building muscle, what do they say the most important thing is? So if it's important for your muscles, it's important for this.
Mind.
It's important for the nervous system.
I think it's even more important for your mind. Well, cognitive functioning, a lot of it, when you're sleep deprived, it lowers your cognitive. Think about in the evening when you're really tired, you don't make good decisions as much. You don't remember things as well. You're more irritable. Things are harder to do in the evening.
A lot more emotional. You're working out of the wrong part of the brain.
Yeah, well, it's the prefrontal cortex, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're tired, and sleep deprivation lowers the activation of the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to get stuff done in the morning as well, get everything done so you can kind of chill in the evening.
And that's, so the evening there where you're saying it lowers the prefrontal cortex, I'd imagine you're operating more out of the limbic system.
Yeah.
If you're more emotional.
Old brain,
you're more stressed.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously the emotional brain.
Your hindbrain,
Well, I totally agree with everything. I think, so I've been studying, only self-study, nothing, methylation. You heard of methylation?
No, I haven't actually.
So methylation is the process of output of your your DNA, the strands, your genetic coding as such. Have you heard of Gary Brecker?
No, I haven't actually.
So Gary Brecker, he's been on the Joe Rogan podcast quite a few times. He's been on the Diary of a CEO. He's the ultimate human, I think his Instagram name is.
Right.
Well known. He used to, so he'd take people's blood, check their biomarkers and stuff, and he'd actually he'd tell them the month they were going to die.
Yeah, I think I have heard of him.
But the problem is, it started happening.
Yeah,
he was getting it right.
It's like that. Have you seen that Countdown film?
No.
Where it's on the phone and they get Death Day.
Yeah. But yeah, so he, I think his most famous story was Dana White.
I did hear that.
Yeah, so he took Dana White's blood and they phoned Dana White like 3 o'clock in the morning when he was asleep.
Yeah,
he's like, right, I'm getting a flight, I'm coming to see you.
Yeah.
He was like, you're in a shit state, basically. Yeah. And so basically his work is methylation. Looking at genetics, looking at your epigenetics and how to maximise potential and maximise output. Yeah. So obviously,
in terms of lifespan, is that or
just in terms of improving health and lifespan? Yeah. Because I think Dana White's went from like 6 years to like 27 years. So he's doing some, but a lot of that is grounding work. And I mean, Dana White can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on machines. Yeah. But things like grounding sheets for your bed, really good.
All right.
So there's one. You can buy them on Amazon. I think they're about £60-70. You just plug them in, but it's got the plug socket that you plug them into has to be earthed. Yeah. Has to be obviously earthed. If it's not, it doesn't work. But you just put it on a normal sheet, lie on it, and it's grounding sheet.
What does it do?
It's just like grounding. So exactly the same process as grounding when you put your feet in the mud, your feet in the sand. Okay. Exactly the same process. Cool. Yeah. They're becoming really, really popular as more and more people are having these conversations. Yeah.
And I think going back to what you said about Dana White and the money, I mean, money does help. I'm definitely sure, but I think the building blocks of mental and physical health are free. You know. Obviously, you got diet. It's a massive thing.
That's what I was going to go to.
Yeah, if you've got less money, you're going to have to choose. You constrain to what you can buy. I mean, to a certain degree.
So when I was in addiction, I'd spend a lot of money on food, but it'd be the wrong food. Yeah. It'd be pizzas,
Mackies,
hungover, kebab houses, all this shit. Yeah. Now, mate, so I probably 6 days a week I stick to a really strict diet, which is I'm carnivore diet.
Oh, nice.
So a lot of meat, a lot of eggs. Yeah. A little bit of cheese. Yeah. But every now and then I'll chuck in 2 days of juicing. So fruit, vegetables, and just juice up.
Yeah. You're eating all the meat that I don't eat. Yeah. I'm vegetarian.
Yeah. And again, each to their own, you know what I mean? Yeah. But
if it works, it works.
I've struggled a lot with... So me and carbohydrates don't mix well. No. Because the amount of injuries I've got in my legs, I've found that when I start eating more carbs, I get a lot more inflammation in my ankle and my knee.
It's each to their own. What works for your body, you know. That I was talking to my mum about this and how the government say, you need 70 grams of protein. That's the we're such a diverse, species. You got people that are like 5'1", 100 pounds, 50 kilos, and you got someone like you that's 6'6". You're not going to
be completely different.
No, and it's like 2,000 calories a day. But you need probably a lot more. Yeah.
I think my baseline to maintain weight's about 3,800, something like that. Yeah,
and it's just there's not enough education out there on diet, and I just hate the big corporations like Mackies. I know they've got to make money, but they are taking they're exploiting vulnerable people who have less money. Oh, look at that! It's a burger. It's easy, and you know what? You never see McDonald's and kebab shops in on the corner of affluent areas. You always see them in council estate areas, areas of higher deprivation. That's a
good point.
Yeah, and because they are, it's like most big corporations, they're exploiting the working class and the vulnerable people, Yeah,
that's a good point. I've never even looked at like that, but it is.
Yeah. You don't see them in like Cheshire. You don't see
posh places.
No. Yeah, you don't.
Probably because I don't ever go to posh places.
Yeah.
No, but I agree 100%, and I got asked the other day, what would you do for somebody who's struggling in recovery with addiction? Because that's let's call that my niche. That's how. So a lot of the neuroscience I'm learning is purely around emotions, addictions, that type of stuff. So I said it last week. I've learned the triune model. I don't know if you know what that is.
No, I've not heard of that.
So I showed them last week. So you look at your hand.
Yeah.
So you have the brain stem.
Oh yeah, no,
cerebellum,
I have.
limbic system, and
forebrain,
and neocortex.
Yeah.
So that's the model that I'm using just for addiction.
Yeah.
Really simple, really self-explanatory for help people understand.
I heard that on a sports psych podcast.
Did you?
Yeah. Or it might have been the book. I'm listening to an audiobook called Do Hard Things. That's, sports psych and about resilience and toughness.
Who wrote that?
I can't remember. I'm not. I
don't. There's a guy. You'll know his name. Sports psychologist. He's one of the most famous. He's an old man now. What's his name? He done a lot with the British basketball team, but he's helped Kobe Bryant.
All right.
He's really, really famous. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm not as good as names as I am with like titles.
Old man with grey hair, and I think he's got Parkinson's disease as well.
Sad.
But
I'll have a look.
I think he's like one of the most famous sports psychologists in the world. And
I think that's what I'm looking to go into. To be fair,
yeah.
I was thinking because I always thought I wanted to do counselling and all the mental health stuff, but having a bit of time away from it, I've realised that it's a very tough, demanding job, especially for someone as young as I am. I'm 22. I've literally just graduated. I kind of want to do some. I've got such a long life to do all that tough stuff. I kind of want to do something I actually just love. Sports. Like I've always, psychology has been my passion since year 10 when I found it in GCSE. But sport is a part of my life, sport and exercise. Well, I guess it's all just linked in it, but sport and exercise is like what I want to do, I think, passion. So.
What is your key concept of psychology? Like, if you were to, again, this is probably too much of a broad question, but if you were to explain to somebody how psychology is a benefit for them to learn, even just in general, like I've got that book there, Everything You Need to Know About Master the Subject of Psychology. Yeah. And it's basically the history of psychology.
Yeah.
And I read that and I'm up
Freud.
to
Freud, Rogers.
Pavlov I'm up to at the moment.
It's Pavlov and Skinner.
And about association and how we used animals.
Yeah, behaviourism,
And the little baby.
Little Albert.
That's it, little Albert.
With the bell. Sad that,
That's awful.
Well, there's some mad studies. I should read it, actually. I've got a book at home. It's called Elephants and Acid and Other, like random experiments. And there's some mad ones because there wasn't ethics back then. But yeah, and there's also one, a funny one actually, where, well, it's funny and it's not. There was a study where they wanted to see how distance to how close you stand to someone in a urinal and how long it takes for them to wee. That was a study back in the day. So like the experimenter sort of went, I don't know if he sort of stood, closer and closer to people in the urinals to see how that pressure of, people nearby you. And it's like, that would never be allowed nowadays, but funny.
It's strange for somebody to just think of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what test can we do? I know, I'll piss next to this
guy. I'll just watch it.
see how uncomfortable he is. I'll watch it.
Pressure. What pressure?
Yeah, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
But going back to that question, if you were to, so let's take the everyday working man, working woman, struggling, because like we were saying before, let's not get it twisted. The most of the fucking population of the world struggling now.
Of course, yeah.
And there's not many people that can say my life's great.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's important what you said there about understanding the difference between stress. So that book, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers.
Yeah, I've read a bit.
Yeah. So that's about obviously natural stress.
Yeah, the physiology of stress.
And then the stress of having to pay a mortgage or pay your water rates and stuff.
Oh, there's a name for it and I can't. So you've got the short-term stress, haven't you? Stress of, I'm going to get hit by a bus, when you feel it. And then you've got that long-term stress, when you can feel it just grinding you down. I can't.
It's not acute and chronic, no?
Acute stress and chronic. But there's another big word that I remember reading. Because my dissertation in uni was the effect of mindfulness and stress. I'm going on a tangent now. I'll come back to the question.
Yeah.
Mindfulness and stress on the mental health and motivation of students. So the well-being and motivation of, students at my uni. And so I did a lot of reading on both mindfulness and, the effect of stress. And
Nice.
there's a lot of research on both, really.
Nice.
Yeah, and that long-term stress is, that grinding you down, that stress system being activated over a long period of time, not just... Because, don't get me wrong, stress, and I think there's a kind of view in society that stress is bad. It's not
Stress
bad.
is good for you.
Yeah. Stress is performance enhancing.
Yeah.
Before a football match, you get that stress. It gets you ready. It makes you think, more dialed in. While you have a coffee. Coffee literally just activates stress system, Caffeine it's a stimulant. And, stress literally helps you to perform to a higher level, helps you remember better, just helps you do things better in the short term. And do you know the Yerkes-Dodson curve? Have you heard of that?
No.
So it's like a U-shaped curve like that, and not enough stress. So on the bottom is stress.
Yeah.
On the top is performance. So not much stress, you don't perform as well because you're not ready to go,
Right.
If you're just so relaxed, you're not going to be able to go and play a football match. And then as you go up, you get to a point where you're
Like
in the
optimal.
middle. Yes, it's called eustress.
Right.
So you've got de-stress and eustress. So eustress is that point, the top bit of the curve where you are stressed out. Before a football match or before you go to do an interview, you're ready, aren't you? You're ready to perform.
Yeah.
And that top of that curve, so it's like the middle amount of stress is where you perform at an optimal level.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side of the curve. So it's like that. The other side is the drop off, when you're so stressed that you can't think, you can't perform.
Yeah.
That's the distress sort of thing. We've all had it when we, the big one is Britain's Got Talent. You go on, I can't do it, run off the stage. That's, you're too stressed and performance, rapidly decreases. So stress is
go into flight mode and run away.
fight or flight. Yeah. But so coming back to your question about why studying psychology or just reading about psychology would be good for the everyday person, is because I think every aspect of your life revolves around psychology. Psychology is the study of human behavior.
Yeah.
So everything you do, is psychology at the end of the day, from, what time you get up, what you eat for breakfast, how you talk to your parents versus your friends. Every little thing it's psychology, and just having an understanding. They say awareness is sort of the first pillar to change, isn't it? You've got to know that you're doing something to change it. So
it's the same in addiction.
Yeah, of course.
For again, I've mentioned this many times, but my girlfriend said to me, "What are you doing?" Like she came down at like 7 a.m. I was unconscious on the table, and I said to her, "This is just normal. This is the lifestyle I was raised in." And she
try and
was like,
justify it in your head. Yeah,
that's your addiction talking. And she was like, "What's fucking normal about this?" Because she's never took a drug in her life.
No.
And it's that justification for normalizing a behavior.
Yeah.
But then when you start to unfold it and look at this big map or whatever, and it's like, wow.
Do you think deep down you knew what you were doing was wrong?
So that's where I was going to get to.
Yeah.
So when I was saying it's normal, that's like a stress response almost, or a lack of being able to acknowledge self. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a defense mechanism.
Yeah, because
putting that barrier up to, this is just what I want to do.
Yeah, because we talk of the behaviours that come with addiction, manipulation, lies, deceitfulness. But one thing a lot of people don't understand is for people who are really in the depths of the fucking it's humiliation as well.
Yeah.
You feel embarrassed to come out and say that you've got a drug problem.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people who I know won't say it, because
stigma again.
Yeah, and I was the same. When I sat in a group of people and I was like, I don't like using the word I'm an addict.
No, neither.
Because we can speak on beliefs and
and you internalize. That's not
you give it identity and stuff.
Yeah, but person first language.
Yeah. So when I sat down, I said, I've got a cocaine problem. That's the way I worded it. It wasn't in AA or NA. I didn't go to them. I recovered my way.
Yeah.
By learning, by educating, by understanding the biology and psychology, the brain, and that's how I've learned.
You fixed the root cause.
So I'm still working on the root cause. The trauma, I believe, was my root cause of addiction, and I believe it is with many, many people.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'm sort of 90%. So a lot of my root causes stem from parents, or stem from the relationship with parents. Not necessarily them, but my response or relationship to the life that we had. But I'm getting there. The last couple of months have been I mention him on every podcast, so I may as well do it now. I've got a mentor from South Africa. He's a psychologist and neuro-linguistics master.
Oh, nice,
He's shit hot, unbelievable at it. So since March, maybe, me and him have been working on me, just purely on me, every day, literally every day.
Is that like a life coach sort of thing?
So I wouldn't call him a life. He's more of just a guru.
Yeah. Wise man.
Very clever. Like I said, he's 30 years psychology.
Oh, brilliant.
NLP. Yeah. NLP is something that's opened my eyes to a lot of things. It's really, really powerful stuff.
Yeah, I did a bit of research. Can you tell me a bit more about it? Because I remember having a look at it when I started counselling, but I didn't get too deep into it.
So, neuro-linguistical programming, you put me on the spot here.
Yeah, you go.
I'll be a practitioner of it by early next year, but I'm still learning it. So the way we sort of contacted was, he was talking about this iceberg, and it's called the neurological levels of change.
Okay.
So at the bottom you have identity purpose, identity, values, beliefs, behaviors, skills, and environment. And to live at purpose, to live at identity, you have to align every level of change. Yeah. So when I came out into recovery, a lot of people will say, my name's whatever, I'm an addict.
Yeah, that's identity then, isn't it?
I wasn't doing that.
No.
Somebody said, well, I think I said, my name's Lee, and they said, well, are you an addict? And I was like, no.
I'm a person.
I said, I've got an addiction, a problem with addiction, but I am not an addict, because by creating that statement, you give it identity, you give it power.
Yeah.
And he was listening to me talk.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh. So anyway, a couple of months went on. And so what we did is we worked through the neurological levels of change. What are my values? What are my beliefs? What are my skills?
Yeah.
And you'd work with them on the left-hand side of the iceberg. And then on the right, it's, what do I want to become?
Oh, nice, yeah.
So basically, it's taking you from A to B. But all the ones on the right-hand side are working towards that identity.
So they build towards the identity,
And then we went through this process of finding purpose, man, and it was intense.
Yeah.
And
I'll just touch on what you said about the identity of I'm an addict, and I think that links to a lot of things, you know. I struggled with depression before, but, since then, I would never say I probably would, but now I wouldn't say I was depressed. I had depression. I was struggling with depression because I'm a person who who was struggling with depression, who had depression, because it's all that thing about, at the end of the day, you're just a person, aren't you, that's gone through some stuff and is doing the best they can with what they've got available.
I think when we talk identity statements, when you say I am, you then give that power, whatever
you believe it, because
So again, we talk beliefs, and the difference between, or the way I describe it to people, is the difference between a belief and a thought is emotional attachment.
Yeah.
So if you attach emotion to something, it becomes your belief.
Yeah.
If you think it's raining outside, you don't know. As soon as you go outside and get wet and get cold,
you think,
you know it's raining because you can feel it, right? So that's why a lot of people in addiction, they feel this such a big emotional attachment to addiction, it becomes them.
Yeah. And have you heard of, I think there's a psychologist called Martin Seligman, one of the biggest psychologists.
I think I came across him about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The name rings a bell.
Learned optimism, and how one of that thing, it does link to, it's with negative things, like failure.
Yeah.
It's stable, internal, global is the three things. So you think, let's say, for example, let's take football, because, it's an easy thing to sort of visualize.
Yeah.
Right. You've made a mistake. You're a goalkeeper. You've made that mistake in your game. You've let in the
worst type of mistake.
95th minute, you've let in a howler. If you have a negative sort of negative attribution style, you might think, stable. I'm always bad. I always make mistakes. Yeah. Internal, this is me. I'm just rubbish. Global, I'm rubbish at everything. That's going to put you in a rubbish place. You're going to feel like I don't want to keep going. I'm just rubbish. It can't change, and that links to growth and fixed mindset. But whereas if you see that in the opposite way, the positive attributional style. So stable, the opposite of stable is, can't actually think of how the word he uses, but it changes, today I made a mistake. Internal, external, I didn't sleep very well, or, it was a tough game. The pitch was rubbish. The conditions didn't help in my favour. External things, led towards what happened. It wasn't all just me. And then global, it's just this one thing, my kicking was great today, my saves were good. It's just that one little thing. And then it works to the other end as well.
Absolutely.
So if you have a blinding game, you've saved the pens, you saved a pen in the last minute, for example. If you have a negative attributional style, you might think stable, the opposite of stable. So, I only saved, I don't save all of them. Last week I missed them. Yeah, I normally miss them. Yeah. It's like luck, external. The penalty taker was rubbish. It wasn't really me. I didn't do this. It's just because he didn't take a good shot. And, what's the global one? Yeah.
The problem that I've seen, what you're talking about there. So, again, in NLP, one of the presuppositions, it's like 15 laws of NLP.
Yeah.
There is no failure, only feedback.
Yeah. I got a good quote for that. I was looking this morning.
Yeah. So, we talk internal and external motivation, and then we talk, are we motivated towards or are we motivated away from?
Yeah.
So I'll take it back to addiction. A lot of people in recovery will be motivated away from.
Yes.
So there's the addiction.
You're running.
And they're running away. Yeah. Whereas with me, that's where I want to be, and that's where I'm going to. I'm going towards, and
doing it out of, not out of fear, out of, because you want to make a better life for yourself.
Yeah. And that one thing I find, not just with people in addiction, with people life in general.
Yeah.
You talk, let's give an example of a school test, right? You get 94% on a school test, you go, could have got 100 there.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd be like, fucking hell.
Yeah. That's the
made up.
Attributional style. You think of the negatives, that 5% negative, whereas that 95% positive. Yeah. And that links to what that book I was reading about, Do Hard Things, that, the traditional teacher was authoritarian, sort of. So he says it's demandingness and I think it's empathy and acceptance on a matrix like that. So an authoritarian teacher is very, very demanding, but doesn't accept everything. You do this because I say so. Yeah. You probably had teachers like that, didn't you?
Yeah, loads.
They
used to batter us.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, and they were probably the teachers that you didn't like, and two, didn't do well in the subject for. And it's literally proven that figure of an authoritarian figure, there's literature on this, papers that have been studied. People perform worse in the subjects. People resent the teachers, and even, the discipline, that sort of discipline. Children that have authoritarian parents show more, what's the word? Sort of behaviours that are, you don't want, sort of challenging behaviours, more challenging. Resentment. And a quote from this book was, rules without relationship equals rebellion. And that's something, I've always thought.
Rules without relationship create rebellion.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, you get it. You probably know a lot of people like this, where at home life, say, before they move out with their parents. The parents are very strict. You do this because you're in our house. You know, I control you, sort of thing. And then they go off. They go to uni. They go get a house, and they go mental because they've got no restraints. It's like, oh, what can I do here? You know, whereas
probably half of the population.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You know, we don't get to sort of make our own mistakes at home. You know, very overprotective.
I was thinking about this when you mentioned this before, that you had no TV, no phone, which
in the bedroom. Yeah,
I think that's brilliant. Really do.
Yeah, bedroom was for sleeping. Yeah.
So my son now, he's a big gamer.
Yeah.
But I think it's having a detrimental effect to his life.
Strong opinions on this.
He's 17.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to have these conversations with him, and it's just falling on deaf ears. Yeah. And then when I try to become more strict, he thinks I'm being horrible to him.
Yeah. So
what you just said there, and I think this is genuinely what I have to do, because as parents, we want to, a lot of the time, we want to relive our youth through the eyes of our children.
Do what you missed out on.
Forcing them to do this, forcing them to do that.
You see it in football all the time.
I was just going to say football's one of the biggest ones. For
Dads that didn't make it, push.
I done it.
Yeah.
I nearly got to a decent level of football, but I didn't.
No.
And my son was, even when he was a kid, he said, I don't want to play football. Anyway, he's really, he had 5 world records at one point on Fortnite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's really good.
Brilliant.
But I think the generations are changing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not happy with the situation. But at the same time, as a parent, I've got to allow him to understand his faults, his mistakes, and take accountability for those as well. If he was 12 or 13, I'd be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But now he's come to an age where it's time to start standing on your own 2 feet.
Of course. You're becoming an adult, and that's where, you've got to start, being more responsible for yourself at the end of the day. Yeah. And I don't like to comment on parenting too much because, I'm not a parent myself. And
it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, man.
Yeah. Like, I've got, my opinions on the parenting style that I would use. We all do. But, what if you haven't done it, a quote is, you don't learn to swim by reading about water. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You just got to get in it.
Yeah. And that's the same with parenting. You can have all these, this is how I do it. This is what I think. Until you've done it, you can't really speak, can you? But
I had the same values when I said, when I become a father, I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah, this way. And then you go into it and it's like, fuck.
And it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. It was
everything gets hard in the way, life.
And it still is, but it's I made a lot of mistakes as a parent.
Yeah, I think everyone does.
But I've also done a lot of good as well.
Of course.
So, it's
depends what you focus on, innit? Yeah. Look for good things, you'll find them. Yeah.
Mental health in general. Yeah. You wanted to speak about sort of, we'll call it life for the sake of the conversation, how everything's going. I mean, we met on social media and you can see on there, I mean, it's a fucking poison place.
Yeah. Where it depends where you go, doesn't it?
It does, but I mean, when you're doom scrolling, which I have done, I don't do it anymore, but I used to.
So addictive.
You see some stuff and you're like, the world's falling to pieces. The world's falling apart. But I mean, obviously you wanted to talk about that, so I'm just going to let you go with it and see where we go.
Well, I'll come back to what we mentioned before about the when definitely your generation were younger, you'd be outside all day, It was a child-based play and play-based childhood, you learn, you go out and play. And playing's such a big thing for learning. Yeah. If you play hide and seek or let's go football again, it's just easy. If you play football when you're like 6 with your mates, you learn rules, you learn team play, you learn to deal with people that'll be aggressive with you, nasty to you. You learn so much, don't you? Sort of life skills from playing.
Absolutely.
And that's what I see that a lot in the school I work with, because it's a lot of autistic kids, and it's just trying to play with them and sort of get them into more sort of skills for life, really. Yeah. But going back to now, childhood, I think it was the rewiring of childhood. That's what Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Anxious Generation, calls it, where we've gone from the play-based childhood to the screen-based childhood, and where, you know, you see it at the airport. You got kids that are like 2 years old on an iPad. You know, if it's addictive for me and you, what's it doing to a 2-3-year-old who's got, you know, barely developed brain sort of thing? And I just, you know, I think it's having it. Well, it is. It literally, you know, there's a stat that really just puts it into perspective. So you've got anxiety levels and time. So let's say this is 2012. That's when Instagram started becoming big. Anxiety levels, Instagram, it follows. You know, there's literally two graphs where Instagram use and anxiety in children. It literally follows it. You know, you know, I used to do it. You know, you get up and you go straight on your phone.
Doom scroll.
Yeah. And then you go to bed on your phone until you go to bed. You know, you're literally constantly, you know, stimulated with anything you want. You know, you can have, and social media is you know, it's not real life. It's I can't think of the word, blown up version of...
Hedonistic version.
Yeah, you know, you see the best of everything. You see the best cars, the best looking women, the best, you know...
Everything's perfect.
Yeah, the best lives, the best houses. And then you go out in life and you think, well, this is boring, isn't it? You know, go for a walk. Well, where's the cars? Where's all the beautiful women?
It's funny, somebody made a comment last week, I think. When you see a picture on social media of... just a normal person.
Yeah.
No makeup on, with the clothes. Say, take a woman, for instance, and she's just got a hoodie on with her hair up, and you go, bloody hell.
Why is she posting that?
Well, what's going on?
Yeah.
That's fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah. That is, you know, that's just normal, though, in real life. If you go out, you're not going to see everyone gelled up all the time. You go to the shop, you know what I mean? And I do think, you know, yeah, it makes life boring, because if you can be, especially if you can be playing, I don't know, Clash of Clans or something that's like really stimulating, you've got something going on every second, why would you want to go for a walk outside? And I understand, you know.
I think that's the issue I've got with my son.
Yeah. Why would he want to go outside when he's got, you know...
He's locked in.
Yeah, and he's got like, you know, Fortnite where you can get a golden scar and shoot 12 people with a bazooka and stuff. Yeah. But...
I listened to Huberman actually talking about it. Yeah. Talking about the reward centre of dopamine and gaming.
Yes, and, that's on the same one as the cold showers one. I remember that. Yeah.
And talking about how it has similar effects to trauma and addiction.
Cocaine.
Where the baseline of dopamine
lower. Because you've got so much stimulation that you need more and more and more. That's what it is. You know, you it's like anything. You gain a tolerance to it.
Yeah.
You know, the first time you played, I don't know, Minecraft, for instance, this is a great game, you know, let's explore loads of places. And then it gets boring. So I've got to build a house, you know, got to do more and more. Then that gets boring. What else can I do? This game's, you know, let's play a different game now. I'm bored of that already. It's, you know, it's chasing something. It's sort of going towards something that always has no upper limit. You just keep going, you know, playing for longer and longer. An hour's not enough, 2 hours not enough.
Yeah.
And that actually happens as well with exercise and doing hard things as well. You build up a tolerance, you know, to exercise. If you run for half an hour and that's all you can do, you're knackered. Next few times it's going to be easy, and that's not going to be enough. And that is the positive way that dopamine sort of, because dopamine, you know, there's a lot of things, and I think a lot of people see dopamine as like a bad thing now. It's not.
We'd be dead without it.
Yeah. We'd be in our beds. Well, Parkinson's is low. One of the things is low dopamine. You know, you can't control movement. I think it's Parkinson's, and what they do for a lot of Parkinson's people is, because it's movement and motivation. Dopamine, that's the main function. Yeah. So if we had no dopamine, we wouldn't be able to control.
You'd literally be dead.
Yeah.
Because dopamine it makes you eat, makes you go and look for food.
Yeah.
Sex.
Yeah.
You know,
drive.
So without dopamine, there would
water,
be nobody.
Yeah.
Literally, we'd all be dead at one point.
Well, from the caveman perspective, it made them survive. It was the drive to survive.
It's a survival.
Yeah,
it's a
but I think
instinct.
There's a misconception that dopamine's bad. And, you know, I think how I always say is, if something spikes your dopamine by a lot and you didn't have to do much for it, stay away. just stay. Well, that's cocaine, for example. You know, you literally get a bag. I've not done it myself, but, you know, it's easy. You know, literally just sniff it. You've done nothing there, really, have you? You know, no effort at all. Literally, you could be lying on your bed and do it. Whereas a cold shower, you've got to go out and go, right, let's do this. You know, it's hard. It is hard. Yeah. And you think,
and it's not nice.
No, it's not nice. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. That's the main thing. Yeah. And it's like, do I really want to do this? Yeah, I want to. You get in, you deal with that. Oh my God, this is so cold. You deal with the breathing. You get out and you think, look how resilient I've just been. You know, look how much effort I've just put in. And you get that, you know, rush of dopamine. You know, that's, let's say, spike. It's not not like a hit. People think you know, you hit a hit of dopamine. It's always a spike.
Yeah.
So if something spikes your dopamine very, very high and does not require any effort, stay away. That's what I'd say. You know, cocaine, drugs in general, alcohol to a certain degree. I think, you know, there's a way you can use alcohol, you know, without being addicted and stuff like that.
I guess that's it's based on perception, right? Because I can't.
No.
Whereas you maybe can.
Yeah.
I think you've got to understand who you are as an individual,
definitely.
Because the drinking was never the problem. The drinking would drive me to the problem.
Isn't it? Yeah. The cocaine.
But then, so have you heard? I think it's cocaethylene or something. The chemical in the brain that alcohol and cocaine, when mixed together, creates this
concoction. Is it?
And then
mega hit. Yeah.
So after years and years of abuse, as soon as you even have the thought process of having a beer,
it's coke with it
instantly.
Yeah.
So then you'd start getting cocaine before you even had a beer.
Yeah. Well, I went to see. Have you heard of the comedian Jamie Hutchinson?
Who?
Jamie Hutchinson.
No.
He's a guy from Manchester. Really, really funny bloke. Me and my mates went to see his gig in Chester, and he literally talked about that, how, well, in a jokey way, that, you know, you go to the pub and you have loads of beers, and then someone offers you some funny white powder when you're 17, and you do it, oh, this is mint. You do it again and again, and then you go for some beers. It's not as good anymore. No. You can't do the beer without the cocaine, you know.
No.
I'm lucky that I've never tried cocaine. I don't think I ever will.
It makes me laugh when you see there's a big recovery system on social media. A lot of people talking about recovery, right? I don't want to isolate myself to recovery, because I believe there's a lot more to my ability and knowledge than just recovery. Again, you know, everything that we spoke about here is stuff that I'm learning or know about.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of piss takers, right? People who take the piss and say 3 for 100, you know, when people are speaking and stuff.
Yeah.
And it makes me laugh, because I think you think it's funny. Come back in 10 years. Come back and speak to me in 10 years.
Yeah, well, it's short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yeah.
And that's what Jamie Hutchinson said. He said, I went and spoke to him before the gig, and he said, I was like, how's your week been, mate? He was like, yeah, it's been good. I was at my nan's. My uncle was trying to offer me 3 for 100. I was just like, he's so funny. Check him out. He's really funny.
But it makes you laugh though, because they think I'm being funny, I'm taking the piss, and like, just keep going. That's what I say. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Humor's a coping mechanism.
Yeah. I said, keep doing what you're doing and come back and speak to me in 5 years.
And you talk about taking the mickey. It's easier to, you know, laugh and joke about it, and also take the mick out of other people than face your own problems.
It's all projection.
Yeah, projection,
all of it. And that's all I ever say to people. If they want to take the piss, you just project them.
Yeah, and I'm quite into my philosophy at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've literally just finished that. Yeah,
have you?
Audio booked it. And Marcus Aurelius, I think he talks about, when someone judges you, just think about the person judging you. You know, if they're not the perfect person, what are they to speak? And Carl Rogers says as well, external judgment will never be a path, something like external judgment will never be a guiding for my behaviour. You know, it's got to come from within, you know, what you want to do. You shouldn't, and that comes to the thing of pressure from parents, and you, at the end of the day, are the only person that can control your life. And I think another thing is controlling what you can control, because at the end of the day, all I can control is my space here. You know, I can't control, you know,
what's happening outside.
Yeah, who offers me a job. I can't control how many people watch my videos. All I can control is what I make, what I do, how I act. And then I have to let be everything else.
Again,
acceptance.
In NLP, we talk of external motivation. Internal or external motivation.
Yeah. Got or intrinsic, extrinsic.
Yeah, and I think, well, I know because I've done the test, so I'm sort of 50-50.
Yeah.
I'm 50% internally motivated, 50% externally.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
It's not bad.
It's fine to have a bit of external motivation, but, you know,
it's got to come from
all of that together. So the internal and the external has all got to be beneficial, right?
For the right reasons,
purposeful.
Not for fear or for status, you know. Well, I think anyway.
When I was speaking to Matt last week, we spoke, and he said, you know, I want the nice house and I want the nice car to prove my family wrong. And I was like, no,
it'll never be good enough.
No, I said, because once you've got it, you'll still won't feel good enough.
Yeah.
I said to him, that Ferrari, so you buy a Ferrari.
Ferrari's not good enough.
In a year, in 12 months' time, that turns into a Fiesta for you in your head.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't
had
done,
it's not the nuance,
it hasn't done what you set out to become.
It's not the novel thing anymore, no.
So
I'm not a very materialistic person at all. The things I value in life are people, memories. You know, I read a book called Die With Zero, and that is about, you know, the things, your life is I keep forgetting like the main words here. Your life is a sort of compilation of your experience. So when you die, you're not going to look back at your bank account, are you? You're not going to say, oh, do you remember when I made £1 million? You're going to think, people you spent time with, the memories, the places you've been, you know, the new things you've done, the sport, the achievements you've done.
Who wrote that book?
I can't remember. I'm not very good with...
I was listening to something was a couple of months ago, and it was a doctor, an American doctor. I think he was a military doctor. And he said nobody on their deathbed ever wanted to look at their bank account.
Yeah.
And it made so much sense.
Yeah, he said that in that chat. Yeah. Well, no one wishes they spent more time in the office.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true, right? And I mean, you hear a lot of like, I won't say motivation because you can only be, you see a lot of people say they're motivational speakers when, again, there's no such thing. Motivation comes from within. They can be inspirational, but they can't be motivational. You can only be motivated by yourself.
Yeah.
Can be inspired.
Yes. Yeah.
Sound. So yeah, I mean, just touching on that there, what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Talk a bit. You mentioned about me being vulnerable. You know, let's dig into you.
Yeah. Flip the switch. Yeah.
So again, you roll with it.
Yeah. So I think we'll start from the beginning of Dominic Jai Howarth. So I grew up I was born in Somerset, actually down south, with mum and dad, and I wasn't there long, actually. We moved up to Flintshire when I was about 4, like family trouble down there. And mum had other kids and stuff happened. Don't want to get into that, really. It's a bit long. But from there on, when I, moved to Riddermuir in Flintshire, I've had an amazing childhood, just raised by mum and dad, didn't have loads of family around, but it was always, us four as the team sort of thing. And as I said, Dad's was an educational psychologist, so I had a brilliant, he knew what he was doing, He used to teach parenting courses, so I'm so lucky, that I've had that, that perch to sort of stand on and lift me off. And never really, I was a bit, I was thinking about this in the shower. I always say I was quite shy. I wasn't shy as a kid. I stuck to what I knew. So I was very friendly with my friends, my group, but I was not a very outgoing person in terms of talking to new people. And that was, I think, from just my bit of social anxiety, when you're young as well, what people think of me. I cared a lot about what people thought of me. But as I've got older, and the reading I've done, I just don't care. I literally don't care.
Chuck it in the fuck it bucket.
Yeah, mate. I don't care about status. I just care about being a good person and being myself, really. Yeah. But so I never really struggled with mental health my mental health,
Yeah.
you know, as like mental illness. I never really had any mental illness. I had some, you know, things, not nice things happen to me. Like one of the big things was, well, it's actually related to drugs. On holiday, Lisbon, 2023, banging holiday though, to be fair. But first night, we all went out and got these, you know, like edible gummies. And I'd smoked weed. Weed gummies. I'd smoked weed before when I was like 16. So we must have been 19, 20. And we were like, we don't want to drink because it's, you know, first night, we want to get settled in. Let's take some, you know, gummies. And I'd never done them before, so I didn't really know what to expect. And so I took one. You know, you have your half an hour, nothing happens. And then you get that giggly sort of, you're all sat in a group eating blooming a whole packet of massive...
Yeah. Full loaf of bread.
Yeah. Or the big, you know, the green Lays. I can't remember what they're called. My friend Owen, he loves the green Lays.
The tomato ones.
Yeah. They're like the peasant. They're called like
He'll know.
They're called like the peasant something. I can't remember. It's just like tomato, onion. And Owen's like, get these crisps. And me and Owen literally, you know, the big family pack. We yammed the pack of them to get like, both of us had one pack. And then all of a sudden, you know, sometimes you get that weed sort of alters time perception, doesn't it? It slows down time, I think. And that sort of put me into sort of an anxious shit, what's happening sort of thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
went a bit paranoid.
God, oh yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah, and
Callum's looked under the mat and everything.
Yeah.
Thinking there's a trapdoor.
Yeah, and weed magnifies your thought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, however you're feeling, you know, it just gets blown out of proportion. And from there, you know, I was feeling anxious. I was like, I'm just going to go to bed, guys. And I spoke to one of my friends, Ewan, who was feeling a bit anxious too. I was like, oh, let's just go to bed. We'll be all right. Worst thing I could have done, in a dark room, you know, with another person who's anxious, just sitting there, you know, no stimulation from visual, audio. It's just thoughts. So I was in my own head thinking, what have I done? Why am I feeling like this? You know, am I going to die? Sort of thing. And, you know, have you watched Inbetweeners?
Yeah.
Will Mackenzie's like, can someone call my mum? I think I'm dead. That's how I felt. You know, I just kept having thoughts. I thought I was living lives in my own head because it's just, you know, thoughts that going round and round and round. And I was lying there on the bed. I was like, guys, I think I've messed my brain up, you know, sort of thing.
Just pure paranoia.
Yeah.
That's what. So when you say like that's what weed does. It cocaine does that, but like times a million.
Yeah.
You know what? So I suppose I'm talking when you were abuse, right?
Yeah.
When you've done it for 3 days with no sleep and you sat in the dark. I was visualizing. I could see gargoyles and gremlins and all sorts.
Sleep deprivation as well. Yeah.
Dehydrated, sleep deprivation, real psychosis. I've had conversations with monsters in the room and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, man.
And I think from there, you know, one of my mates, two of my mates, to be fair, that were in the room, you know, they did try and, you know, calm me down. You know, one of the lads came a bit later, and he really, you know, helped me calm me down because he was sober, so it was quite easy for, you know, to speak. You want someone sober when you're not doing well, when you've done drugs. And then, so I woke up, I went to sleep eventually. I just kept checking the time, and I swear it just kept staying the same, but I probably checking my phone every 2 seconds. And I just kept looking. I was like, why is time not moving? And I swear it felt like hours just being there. And then I got up the next morning expecting I'll be fine. But I still felt a bit off. But I felt anxious. I just felt really anxious. And I felt like I was...
Come down.
Yeah, and I was feeling like, why... My life doesn't feel real anymore. I feel like, you know, when you're like, shit, have I messed something up in my brain? And I realised afterwards that I was dissociated. The dissociation happens when you have a traumatic experience and your brain protects you.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of, I know it sounds a big jump, but a lot of army soldiers and veterans get dissociated during very stressful times because it's the brain's way of, you know, making you not feel it. Yeah. And I was living through sort of like a glass window of my life, and I just didn't feel like anything was real, derealization. And
some gummy that, like.
Yeah, mate, yeah. But I think it was more my reaction to
Sure they weren't mushrooms?
No.
But that's some power off a gummy, that.
Yeah, but I think it was because...
Get me some.
One, it's because I hadn't done them never done them, hadn't smoked weed in like 3 years. And it's more your reaction. You know, they say it's not the weed that's doing it, it's your reaction to the drug.
Like you say, it heightens your awareness, heightens everything, but the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah, you can't think yourself out of problems.
I've been that paranoid before. I've just through own thoughts that I've hid in bushes and thought the police were coming. And
I thought when I used to...
car down in the middle
you hear
of trees
things and you think...
stuff, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, you think... I used to think when I used to smoke in the woods... Oh, it was my mum shouting me and stuff like that. Yeah. But I think that's because I probably was quite an anxious person in general, and that sort of, hyper.
Have you heard of DMT?
Yeah,
I've done.
I kind of want to do it,
at
some point. Yeah,
you've done it as well. Haven't you?
How'd you find it?
Dimethyltryptamine.
Yeah,
it's cool, man.
The spirit molecule.
I've. So when I did DMT, I did it with a friend of mine. His dad owned a gym.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
That's how I'm told.
And so it started off, it was like little leprechauns running up the window and stuff, little like Smurfs or something.
Yeah.
And then you blast off.
Did you blast off, did you? Yeah. Out your body, sort of?
It was, yes and no. I don't know, it's difficult to explain, isn't it? It's like you are, but you aren't.
Yeah.
You're there, but you're not. And I seen like Viking ships.
Wow.
And like a crystal castle in the middle of space.
Yeah.
But I knew I was still in my body in the room, but at the same time I was
your mind
up
was
in the sky as well.
Sick.
It was crazy, man.
Yeah.
It was good though, it was emotional.
Yeah.
It was emotional.
Yeah, I think I've never done psychedelics, so that's something possibly.
You've done it a few times, haven't you?
Not anymore, like.
No,
it was years ago when you done it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah,
there's an ayahuasca retreat.
Oh yeah.
There's one happening in Snowdonia in September.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been asked to go, and I've said I'll go.
Nice.
3-day retreat in the middle of Snowdonia.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Pure psychosis. My mate done it in South Wales the other week, and he said he had a really powerful experience, but he came home after the first day. But people say, there's a lot of people in the psychology profession
that do it,
that are doing it, like Jordan Peterson, Gabor Mate, all the Joe Rogan, they speak about it a lot.
Yeah, my fascination with drugs are natural drugs. Cocaine, I'm never going to do it. It's made in a lab. It's synthetic. Yeah. Whereas magic mushrooms literally just grow. I
microdose magic mushrooms.
Yeah, I've heard that's meant to be really good.
I've been doing it for best part of 7 or 8 months.
Yeah, oh nice.
But I do the Paul Stamets method. So have you heard of Paul Stamets?
No.
So Paul Stamets is like one of the, I don't know the scientific words. Mycologist. Is it? I call him a mushroomologist.
Yeah.
But he's been on the Rogan podcast.
Yeah, sick.
He was the guy. He wore a hat made out of mushrooms, didn't he? But it looks like a proper hat. It's cool. And he's studied every type of
psychedelic
mushroom going. Not even just the psychedelic ones. He likes a turkey tail. And all of them. All of them.
Fungi. And
it's really, really interesting. So he speaks of, you'll know this, Cal, I think it's the Japanese underground subway process.
Network,
So what they did was they got a model of the underground.
Yeah.
Because I think it's one of the most complex undergrounds in the world, the Japanese underground.
Yeah, how they designed it.
Because of the speeds of the trains and all this.
I've heard this, I think.
So what they did, they got a load of fungi and they threw it on the model and then put a heater over it.
Yeah.
And it just started growing sporadically.
Yeah.
But what it did then, it grew back into itself, or shrunk back into itself, should I say, and then found the easiest, most practical way to get to the other side.
How a mushroom can do that.
And they designed their speeds of the trains, the way that the trains operate throughout the day, based on the growth of that fungi.
It's mental,
That's
isn't
fucked
it?
up.
Yeah.
It shows that they're a living organism.
Yeah,
right?
well, we disregard nature a lot and say, we are that highest order, in terms of intelligence, but...
I don't know. Depends who you've met in your life.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about humans, the last piece... Sorry, mate, we went off subject.
No, don't worry about
Go on, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, so, I'm lucky that that's one of the most traumatic things that happened to me, having a dissociative week and just binge drinking all week to get away from it. And then I came home and I broke down and I was like, Mum, Dad, I don't know what I've done. I don't feel right, I feel like you feel like you messed up your brain chemistry. That's what I kept thinking, and those thoughts just spiraled and having trouble sleeping and stuff. And then a lot of the stuff that helped me was, being in the present, watching football, sitting down and focusing on stuff. And I didn't have to see a therapist or anything. I just, sort of got over it myself.
Yeah.
So that was a couple of years ago before I started my third year. And then, so the last year, this year's been probably the toughest year of my life, really. Yeah. So I graduated in July, but I also went through, my first breakup, first love breakup in June. And so from there, I graduated, which was a lovely, thinking about when I got my exam results for my degree, it was one of the most happiest days of my life. I was literally dancing in the kitchen with Mum and Dad because I got really bad A-levels because I didn't put work in. So getting, I got a first class degree, getting that, all the work, I put so much work into it. Just getting that was, if drinking and smoking is low hanging fruit, getting your degree classification is probably one of the highest hanging fruit you can get. And, it was one of the happiest days of my life. And then, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a master's counselling. This is what I liked in uni. May as well just fall into it. And so I was working over the summer up by the uni, working in Chippy, long hours just to get, because master's so expensive, you don't get good funding for it. So you've got to work yourself, really. So then you've got, you got double the workload already. So working over summer, which was all right, but I was living on my own, so it was a bit tougher. But I enjoyed it, I like working hard. I like going out and doing jobs, I've worked since I was 16, all through. And yeah, so that was all right. And then it came to master's time. And I was studying. I had another job in a pizza place, late evenings sort of thing. I was volunteering with the Samaritans, the hotline, the suicide hotline. And I started a mindfulness society at the uni. I was playing football for the uni. I was playing football for, a local team. I was drugging a lot of balls sort of thing. And I just didn't realise how much I was doing. And I was like, right, just keep going with this. And I'd finish uni lectures on a Monday and Tuesday and I'd go home and keep study all through the week, have football nearly every evening. When I wasn't doing that, I was working or Samaritans and I was burnt out. But I didn't see it then. I didn't see it. I was like, why am I not able to do these things that I should be able to do? Leaving my papers till the last day. Other things happen, like the breakup hit me quite hard. Yeah. Still living with my ex-girlfriend and two other friends in uni accommodation. So, I was going through a lot, but I didn't give myself the time to just have a break, and I threw myself into everything. I've always been like that, I want to do as much as I can. And I think that's why I always get injured in football, because I did too much. But that links, we are holistic people. One thing you do affects everything you do. Yeah. And yeah, so I think I was just burnt out, and that led me to, I just couldn't think very clearly. Have you been burnt out yourself? Where you
multiple times.
Yeah,
I think
you just can't think clearly. Everything feels like it's stressful. Just doing the washing up stressful.
Yeah. So with me, mate. So again, I've worked every day. So, I've never not had a job since the weekend after I left school.
Yeah.
I didn't even, my GCSEs were shit, mate. Yeah. I was just, didn't care about school.
Yeah.
I've probably learned more in the last 2 years than I've learned in my whole life. Like I say, being able to even hold a conversation based on psychology, I feel proud of.
That's great. What I mean? Yeah, I'm glad.
And it's getting easier and easier.
Yeah, the more you do it, your brain's neuroplasticity, isn't it?
I've neuroscience, biology.
Yeah.
I'm learning all these things.
So cool, though.
There's a lady she's a neuroscientist, and I held a conversation with her, and she was like, "You know what you're talking about."
Yeah,
so I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
That enough for me, for somebody who is a professional, an expert. The last 2 years, it's sort of
makes you feel good, doesn't it?
I'm not looking for validation or acknowledgement, but
it is nice.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we talk burnout, mate, I had a son at 19. I bought my first house when I was 18.
I'm plugging it.
Mortgage.
Yeah.
I had $100,000 mortgage. It was a 100% mortgage
Blooming
as well.
heck.
So I was
no deposit.
No deposit. So
Can you even get them anymore?
No,
you can't.
So I was paying £1,000 a month, and I was only bringing home £1,200 a month,
Jesus
and I had
Christ,
2 kids.
mate.
So yeah,
Is that not before bills and everything?
that was the mortgage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mentioned it last week. I had bed sheets on my curtains for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
But I was keeping myself afloat.
Yeah.
And then I was a firefighter for 5 years.
Oh, nice.
Part-time.
Yeah.
So I had a full-time job, and then some days you'd go straight from your full-time job straight into the fire service. There was times where I wouldn't sleep for 2 days.
Yeah.
And burnout was something that I got used to. And I think,
again,
alcohol and drug use is...
coping mechanism.
It's... Don't get me wrong, it stresses the body, but at the same time, you feel like you're winding down.
Short-term relaxation.
Yeah.
Makes you feel good for a few hours. You wake up even worse.
Worse.
You get down and down. It's just it's a negative feedback loop. Yeah.
So let's take this morning, for instance. So like I'd worked 12 hours Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
I got made redundant on Tuesday, but like I say, I've got a new job. But then I've been doing podcasts, editing, speaking to people about addiction. And then I've had a conversation with my missus because she feels as though I'm prioritising which I probably have, which is something that I've got to relate to. And then I've just woke up this morning and I'm like, feel a little bit broken today. You know what I mean? Which I'm not, but just burnt out slightly. So that's why I've spent a couple of hours this morning on my own.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Headspace,
and it just helps me, recharge for this. And that's it. That's sometimes burnout can be having an hour or two on your own and just relaxing.
Or going for a swim.
Decompress.
Yeah. Well, I get it after work sometimes because, I've gone from not working much for a few months to, 40-hour week sort of thing. And it's, you get tired in the evening, but it's so cool how just one evening of like sitting in bed and reading, having a cup of tea, could just make you feel so much better.
Yeah, man.
And a hot shower.
I was speaking to a lady the other day. A friend of mine likes me to go on his lives and talk about addiction and trauma. And so I'm learning a lot about trauma and tools and techniques, bilateral stimulation and things like this, and how you can regulate the nervous system.
Yeah.
And there's a lady who said, when you're physically depressed, she said, you've just got to snap out of it and get on with it. And I was like, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? When you're burnout and depression are two different things.
Yeah.
And like burnout, you can carry on. You might not be performing very well, but you can carry. When you're physically depressed, as you'll know, I've had it. Callum's had it.
Most of us have had it. You
can't move.
You're just in bed.
You're just in bed all
Covers
day,
over
every
your
day.
head. Yeah, and you say as to literally leading on from that point. I was burnt out. But my reaction, because I said I had quite a good childhood. I've never experienced a lot of mental health problems, which probably I'm quite a resilient person, I feel like, but I'd never dealt with anything like that. I didn't know what was going on. Basically, living with like my ex-girlfriend and stuff. So it wasn't the most homely environment, shall we say? Not that we got on, but it's not going to be the most productive environment when you're living with your ex-partner. And I didn't really know how to cope. My parents were at home and I was phoning them like all the time. And I still wasn't feeling better. And for me, for some reason, it just the reaction was to chuck everything away. I'm carrying all this load, just chuck it all out. So I dropped out of my masters, quit my job, moved back home, quit 2 jobs where I was, moved back home, stopped playing football. And my parents had just moved house as well from where we were in Flintshire to up in Conway, Colwyn Bay.
Is that where you are?
Yeah, Colwyn Bay. And so I knew no one there. My friends were at least, half-hour drives away, both directions. And sort of, I wasn't going to uni anymore because I felt like I couldn't do it, That's what the burnout led me, I couldn't do these things. I need to, have some time off. But it was unproductive time off. I was just lying in bed, not seeing people. Yeah. I went days and days without seeing any of my weeks without seeing my friends. Stopped exercising because, I felt I'm rubbish at football now. I don't want to be around people. It's the depression. That's what depression does. It's a protection. Depression, Peterson says, depression is built into us. You don't really need to explain depression because it's inbuilt no one's, everyone has just reason to be depressed at the end of the day.
So the words I used, I actually got accused of spreading misinformation by a lady who's a herbologist.
All right. Isn't that Harry Potter?
She likes making magic cups of tea and stuff. And she said, because they asked me to explain what depression was, and I tried to put it into a way that everybody would understand.
Yeah.
So I said it's the body's way of keeping you safe because it
Survival.
thinks that the environment has got the possibility of killing you.
Well, if you think caveman, hide in the cave.
Yeah.
Curl up in a ball, hide in the cave, don't go out.
You look at, fight, flight or freeze. So you look at a zebra or something in the wild when a lion's got it round the throat, it'll pretend it's dead. That ultimate safety mechanism.
Okay.
And then sometimes you'll see it where the lion will let go and it'll get up and run off.
Yeah.
That's how I sort of, in a nutshell, describe
that's
depression.
really good, and I think that's a very good way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to think, because depression is a very complex thing, but having anecdotes like that is a great way to,
and it just simplifies it for everybody to understand.
You don't have to,
in fight or flight, the body thinks that there's a threat of danger. When you're in freeze or in that really dark, depressing moments,
it's freeze.
The body thinks that it's gonna die. It's got the potential to die, because a lot of people have the thought process in depression: I'm going to kill myself, or I want to die.
Yeah.
You hear it a lot with people who've struggled with severe depression. They don't want to live. Yeah. They don't want to be here no more. And if the mind's saying it, the body's going to feel it, right?
And I think, leading on from what you just said there, that's how I felt for a long, long number of months. So I was, I'd isolated myself. All I was really doing was just sitting on my phone, TikTok. I literally didn't use TikTok from, just after lockdown 2021 till about 2024. But because I was just sitting in my bed and I didn't want to go out, I was like, oh, I may as well download it. I think I sort of went from this really health conscious, friendly, outgoing person. I still am that. I still was that person, but I sort of locked that away and turned, all I was doing was, a lot was just staying on my phone, not going up. I had it on my phone. I did average of 3,000 steps for 6 months or something like that. Now I do. Before I probably did 10K. Now I do like 15K every day. So it's probably 6 months of 3,000 or less steps just being in bed. And I didn't want to be here. I was having these thoughts of, if I can't do this masters, how am I ever going to do anything? You get the spiral thoughts of, what else can I do?
The negative aspects of life.
And I was struggling at work because I was just so stressed. It was only washing up dishes and stuff, but you get in your own head, why is this not perfect? I was like, if I can't do that, if I can't work in a pizza place, what am I ever going to do with my life? And that just led me deeper and deeper. And then it comes to the point of, I just want to get out of here. I don't want to live this shitty life anymore. That, what is my life? I'm literally staying in bed in my mum and dad's place, not seeing any friends, not exercising. And it just felt like it was easier to get out of there, just disappear than it was to. It feels like a mountain. You're looking up at Mount Everest from the bottom. It's the mountain, and you can't even take your first step.
And I think you make an important point. It's not real, but it feels.
Yeah. Well, my mum and dad were saying, you've done loads since. My mum and dad have been absolutely. I wouldn't be here without them today. Physically, because, but in the last year as well, the amount of, support and help they got me, I owe them my life, really, in two senses. But they were always, you've done so much, trying to show me what I was capable of. And I just didn't want to see it. I didn't want to hear it. And I was pushing all this, away. Wasn't speaking to my friends, wasn't doing the things that, anhedonia, that's things that used to interest you don't interest you anymore. Didn't play football for months, didn't run for months, didn't go to the gym. Well, I went to the gym, but I was just going through the motions. I'd do like a 20-minute workout of just to it was more to show my parents I was out of the house, give them the image I was getting better when I wasn't, and it got to the point where I might not have been here today if it weren't for, the services around me. Yeah. My parents' support and friends' support. My friends were brilliant, to be fair, big up all you guys back home. You know, just, you know, checking up on me, actually coming out to see me, you know, because I went off the grid, you know, I think that's one of the biggest signs of depression. When people go off the grid, it's not,
silent.
Yeah. And, you know, fair play to them. A lot of them, you know, messaged me, how you doing? Can I come up and see you? And they did. They came up and saw me. But I just didn't want to, I just felt, I'm not myself anymore. I don't want to see people. You know what I mean? You don't, when you feel like this, you don't want to show everyone how, you know, shitty your life's got. I'd put on weight and stuff like that because I was eating rubbish because, again, it's that low-hanging fruit of chocolate, biscuits, crap food. You know, again, it's negative spiral. You got the feelings, you try and run away from him, creates more, and you get worse and worse. And, you know, it got to a point where I was like, you know, I had made plans to end my life, and I was in the process of doing that. You know, I knew I was going to do it. I knew I'd gone there, and the only really things that got me through at that point was, I think it was just friends and family. Really, you know, it was more not. I didn't really care about myself at that point. You know, I didn't want to be here, and it was more. My mum and dad are gonna, you know, this is gonna be the worst thing anyone, you know, parents can go through. Imagine my friends, what they're gonna think. You know, I'm gonna mess up their lives as well because, you know, you're having a friend. I've not had it, luckily. Having a friend pass away from suicide is probably one of the worst traumas you can ever go through, especially, you know, close friend that you've grown up with. And I do have a lot of friends. You know, I'm a very, very sociable person. You know, I've got a lot of friends at home from uni where I am now, and if I would have done that, the hurt. I know I don't try not to blame myself, but the hurt, the pain, and the suffering I would have caused would have been a lot more than I was suffering in that moment. You know, you know, you'll be feeling crap, and you know, you don't want to be here, but I don't want to put, you know, pressure on anyone else feeling like that, but because, you know, you don't want to make people feel guilty. But this is how I felt. You know, I didn't want to make those people sad. I didn't want to, you know, have my sister not have a life because I chose to go. Not chose. It's not a choice. But I didn't want my sister to.
What's not a choice?
Suicide.
Why? Why would you say it's not a choice?
Because I think it's the mental illness drives you to suicide. I don't think you know. I hate the phrase committed suicide. It makes it sound like a crime. It makes it sound like this person's, you know, killed themselves. You know. They've done a horrible thing of killing. It's such a sad thing, suicide. This person has felt like they've got nowhere else to go but being dead. That is how unbelievably sad that is for them, the parents, and the whole world. You know, what a waste. You know, it is a waste of potential for themselves. What memories they could have made, people they could have met. It's not a crime, and it's not a bad thing. It's a sad thing. I think.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I think the when I chose to do it, because I tried to.
Yeah, there's a lot. I've spoken to, you know, so many people that have been in the same boat.
I think, for me, that was a choice.
Yeah.
But I think...
You were driven to it.
It's a tough one because, I mean, again, even in addiction, accountability is huge for me now.
Of course.
Was I driven to it, or did I decide to go there? You know,
but is it a decision of small decisions that lead to the broad picture? You know, you make a decision to do cocaine. You don't decide to fuck up your life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think I spoke about this the other day, and it was the fact that you just don't care
about anything.
You don't care.
No.
And so I don't think it's as black and white as is it a choice? Is it not?
No.
I think when people are in that frame of mind. But when me and Callum we spoke to Paddy Doherty, the traveller. He came on the podcast, and he said he wanted to die. And I said to him, was it that you wanted to die, or was it that you just didn't know how to live another way?
Didn't want to live this life anymore.
So I think, you know, it's a. I mean, it doesn't really deserve a choice or not a choice. Do you know what I mean? I think it's far more in depth than people. If people want to sit there and say that he chose to. Okay, maybe that's your opinion, and everybody's entitled to it. But I think you've got to. It's the same with addiction, right? You've got to look at the person's life and understand.
What's built up.
Every addiction is different. Every suicide is different. Every mental health issue is different.
And you never see the full picture of anyone's life. The only person that ever sees the full picture of your life is yourself.
Yeah,
you know. Even the closest people, even your wife, your mum. they don't see, they've not experienced everything you've experienced. And, you know, that's what it's like for everyone else. You know, I could sit here and judge you all I like, but I've not seen a fraction. I've just met you today, Lee, and all I've seen is, you know, what you told me today, but you've had, 37 years of just, you know, experiences that no one else gets to see. And
that's it. So, like, when I, how long have we done, Cal?
1 hour 30.
All right. Okay. So, yeah, like, when we talk about addiction and trauma specialist, like my mate who's the lead psychologist down the road, he said the one thing you've got that we haven't is experience.
Yes. Yeah, with it, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, listen, mate, I know we wanted to try and fit everything in, but I think that's a good place to leave it on that piece of your story.
Yeah.
Definitely do something again in the future.
Yeah, of course, mate.
Like I say, there's room for 4 people to sit and talk, so we can definitely do something. And if you know anybody else who wants to come in and tell their story,
of course. I just want to say I'm doing really well as well now, guys. So don't worry about me. I turned it around. That might have to be part 2. Yeah, the turnaround.
Yeah. And like I say, I say this to everybody when they come on here. This isn't just a one thing or one show thing. The reason that I've made this is for people to come on here and tell their stories and whatever that may. It's not for me. Yeah, it's not for me at all. Well, it is
a bit of both. Yeah, you get something out of it. You got to get something out of it.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got one question, mate, before you leave.
Go on.
If you could sit 4 people around a dinner table, from the past or present, heroes, family, not family, anyone, literally anyone, who would they be? 4 people.
You're gonna have to give me a minute for that one.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Peterson thing of just sitting and thinking.
You can pay the electric bill while you're there.
No, I think number 1 would be my granddad.
Yeah.
And grandma too, because I never met them. My dad's side, and you know, I hear so many stories about both of them. My nan was from India. She got abandoned at hospital, and she got adopted by an English nurse who brought her over. And I would have loved to meet her and my granddad, who was a businessman. He owned tobacconists in Colwyn Bay. And I think a lot of what, you know, my values now come from them, really, through my dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely 2 of them. And I think Carl Rogers as well, who's the founder of person-centered therapy, one of the, you know, the greats of psychology. He's one of the revolutionary sort of minds of psychology. 4th one. Dead? Did you say dead or alive?
Can be anyone. Literally anyone.
I'll bring Cristiano Ronaldo because I'm a massive United fan.
I'm a United fan.
Yeah, bring just a bit of positive. Yeah,
we'll bring Ronaldo. We won't want to sit with the likes of me.
Yeah.
Sit with those riff-raff.
Yeah. But yeah.
Sound, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
That was class, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Nice one.